Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2020 electoral map under what would be essentially a proportional system. I know we're used to the overall electoral map, but there are some times where we do have to work with a very different scenario, and also if you take a look at states like Maine and Nebraska, they do this as well. What I mean is they take their individual congressional districts on top of their statewide vote, and they allocate electoral votes based off of that. For example, Nebraska has 3 congressional districts and 2 statewide votes. So essentially, if the entire state votes for Donald Trump except for 1 district, that usually would mean that, considering that representative districts are equally dispersed in terms of population, that would essentially mean that Nebraska would give 2 statewide electoral votes to Donald Trump, 2 congressional electoral votes to him, and 1 would go to Vice President Biden. Same thing in Maine. In 2016, Donald Trump won the 2nd district, got an electoral vote there, but Hillary Clinton won the 1st, so she got an electoral vote, and she won the statewide vote, so she got 2 as 3 in total from Maine, and Donald Trump got 1. So essentially, we'd be applying the 2018 map to this because I was considering doing this based off the 2016 election results. So the numbers do improve for Vice President Biden. But based off everything that we've seen right now, Donald Trump, number 1, is already, getting to around the same point that he was in 2018, a very low approval rating. The Democratic generic ballot is very high. And if we were doing this by congressional vote, a lot of people would vote the same way they did on the presidential level and possibly in the representative level. In fact, Hillary Clinton won numerous districts in 2016 that the Republican Party had incumbents in. So it is possible that Joe Biden could, do better than what we're expecting based off this map. This is based off the 2018 results. So the 2018 House elections do not include the extra 2 electoral votes for the statewide vote. Every single state has an additional 2. Essentially, that's just because of the Senate count and the House of Representatives count. So when we take a look at this electoral map, I will pretty much just be giving the overall popular vote winner based off whoever has won more congressional districts. That's usually how it would work. Or if it's an issue where it's a tie, for example, a state like Michigan, then I'm going to go ahead and use my own intuition and say, this candidate would probably do well or better in the state as a whole. So we're actually going to do this pretty alphabetically. There's no real reason to go ahead and just do it by safe states and swing states because this is a proportional map. So Democrats are going to be getting electoral votes from Georgia and Republicans are going to be getting electoral votes from California. So that's probably not the best scenario considering that a new Georgia poll came out today. But maybe Democrats will get votes from states like Texas and Republicans will from California. So we'll start off in Alabama. This one essentially has, I don't know why it says delegates instead of electoral votes, but you can pretty much just ignore that. I do have a poll up if you guys want me to use different colors for my future videos, so make sure you go ahead and fill that one out. For the Democratic Party, they would only get essentially 1 seat here, and then Donald Trump would get the rest. When I say seat, that's just because I'm switching back and forth between thinking 2018 House elections versus 2020 presidential election. Some of these states only have 1 congressional district, so they would likely just vote as a whole. It is very interesting, actually, to say the least, taking a look at some of these areas. I mean, we are going alphabetically, but straight off the bat, we have a swing state, Arizona, going to Joe Biden, giving him a total of 7 electoral votes. We're going to hit California really soon. Arkansas would give all 6 to Donald Trump, so it would pretty much be a clean sweep. We will see that in some other parts of the country, especially in single district states. California has 46 seats for the Democrats in 2018, which means you would add 2 onto that, meaning Joe Biden would get around 48 electoral votes and Donald Trump would get a mere 7. So he will get electoral votes, but it's not a lot. Let's just go ahead and rush through some of these states. You don't really need to focus on Colorado. I understand some people might still think it's contentious, but not really. In the state of Delaware, obviously, this is Joe Biden's home state. Absolute solid victory. In Florida, however, it is a very close race. Joe Biden would get 13 electoral votes. Donald Trump would get 16, but if it was just based off the House elections, it would be 14-13, which I think is a very close race. In Georgia, Donald Trump would get 11 and Joe Biden would get 5. I think that's pretty lopsided based off, I mean, if you ask me. I mean, gerrymandering is an issue in both Democratic and Republican states. So if you take a look even at my home state of Maryland, geez, it's gerrymandered to oblivion. So when I'm saying it, I'm not just targeting the Republican or Democratic Party. It's more so just saying that it's not really reflective of the overall population in certain states. Illinois right now would give Joe Biden 15 electoral votes. Donald Trump would get 5. Indiana would give Joe Biden 2 and Donald Trump 9. So as we progress through this electoral map, you'll start to see how some people may view this map as fairer. However, this is not realistic in terms of replacing the electoral map. Iowa is pretty solid blue in this scenario. But when we look at the the electoral map, I honestly wouldn't mind either map. I'd prefer the regular electoral map, but I really don't think that it's going to be. I think the campaign tactics will definitely change. Republicans are going to start focusing on swing districts in California, and Democrats in swing areas in Republican states. But a statewide system, I think, is a lot more simpler, but it may not necessarily be as reflective of American democracy. I still would have to really consider the pros and cons of each situation. But realistically, I don't know why I clicked Mississippi. I'll get back to that one. But I think that this is just a very interesting scenario, to say the least. I really don't think, I have made a video about this before, maybe like a year ago. So it's been quite some time now, and I think that it will be very interesting to take a look at. So this is actually interesting. So Donald Trump did win the 2nd district in 2016, but in 2018 it went back to the Democratic Party after flipping before. So again, it's pretty different. 2018, we're seeing very similar generic ballot results. We're seeing very similar presidential election polling data from 2018 if you compare the generic ballot to the Biden versus Trump poll. So we could very well actually see a scenario in which the Democratic Party holds on to all of their House seats from 2016. 2018. So Massachusetts goes ahead and goes up. I mean, Massachusetts is very solid. Every single district there for the Democratic Party. New Jersey might join them. Michigan probably won't join them. But this one's actually a tie. So it goes 7-7. I could theoretically tie it, but usually it would just be a statewide vote. I will put my own intuition in it and say that Joe Biden will win Michigan. He's up 15 in the most recent poll. And again, I don't think he's going to win by 15%, but Obama did it. And you also have to notice that Donald Trump won this state by the lowest margin. So if this was a state like Wisconsin, I may be a little more lenient, maybe fine with tying it, but we probably should expect Michigan to go to the Democratic Party on Election Day. In Minnesota, Joe Biden would carry 7 electoral votes. Donald Trump would get 3. So as we're pretty much going to fill in the rest of the South here, like a number of Republican states. There's 1 district for Joe Biden, and then Donald Trump would get the remaining. I really like this type of map. I don't like the system itself necessarily. I don't think that it, number one, won't be implemented, but I'm just saying I think it's really cool. Each state actually has their own electoral votes to be given up, but this really could disenfranchise certain areas and would completely, revive the need for gerrymandering for both aisles, because if this directly impacts the presidential election, you're going to want to gerrymander it to oblivion. For whichever political party that you support, the governor's office or the state legislator, whichever state you're in, whichever rules they follow, obviously would have a lot of an incentive to swing it in one way or the other. So 171 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 129. We're about to get through some of the major population states. Let's go ahead and keep looking over in, so I just finished New Hampshire. Let's go ahead and hit New Jersey. This one actually recently became a lot more in favor of the in the Democratic Party. They gained 4 seats in 2016. Why do I keep saying that? 2018. I keep flipping. I'm thinking, like, why would I mention 2018 in a presidential election prediction other than, like, generic ballot? What would be the reason to refer to the House seats there? But they do have a direct implication on this map. So New Mexico, we need to go ahead and characterize this one. The Democrats would get a total of all 5 electoral votes. So I forgot about that. So the Democrats would get 23 in New York, but again, Donald Trump will still get some from his old home state. In North Carolina, very gerrymandered state. Again, they do have a new congressional map, but this is based off the 2018 numbers. Joe Biden would get 4. And actually, no, he would get 3 because there was a special election, so that one actually goes over in favor of the GOP. Let's go ahead and finish off North Dakota. Let's actually just finish in all of the solid Republican states with single districts, because those will just waste time if we don't go ahead and do that now. District of Columbia will absolutely go to Joe Biden. Same thing in Vermont and Rhode Island as well. So these are all solid Joe Biden states. So that leaves a couple of toss-up states besides, like, Tennessee and, the rest of the states. So the Democratic Party would get 2 in Tennessee. Donald Trump would get 9 in South Carolina. Donald Trump would be able to get 9 as well. Sorry, not 9. 7, and Joe Biden would get 2. I really want to fill in Texas. Let's go ahead and do that one now. So the Democratic Party gets 13, and Donald Trump gets 25. So again, very lopsided. But that's Texas, so that makes sense. Utah, Joe Biden would get 1, and Donald Trump would get the remaining. Let's go ahead and fill in Oregon, and let's see if they would get 6 and then 1. Let's go ahead and fill in Washington. Same type of predicament here for Donald Trump. So just pretty much underwater in a lot of West Coast states and a number of actually solid solid GOP states. Joe Biden doesn't really have a chance in states like West Virginia, even though they may have more than one congressional district. Either it's very gerrymandered or they just really don't like electing Democrats. So the Democrats actually gained 1 seat in Oklahoma, which is pretty surprising. Let's go ahead and characterize Virginia, which still has to go in. That's 9 for Joe Biden and 4 for Donald Trump. And that leaves actually some Rust Belt states, so we can actually go ahead and do those. I think that's actually pretty cool. I think that we've ended up on these. This is actually a tied state, Pennsylvania. Again, I will put my own intuition into this one. I do think that Joe Biden will come out on top in Pennsylvania on Election Day, but it's up to the voters, absolutely. But I will say that it is very possible for Joe Biden to win there. It's not saying it's absolute for Donald Trump, considering that I've already characterized it for Joe Biden, that Donald Trump can't win. But I'm very confident in a Biden victory in Pennsylvania as the election stands today. So Ohio is extremely lopsided. 14 electoral votes for Donald Trump, 4 for Joe Biden, showing very close numbers in Ohio right now. I still think Donald Trump may be the narrow favorite, but still very close race. So Wisconsin actually finishes this off with Donald Trump getting 7 electoral votes and Joe Biden getting 3. This electoral map, I mean, these numbers don't even really make sense, but it's really interesting to take a look at. So yes, this is the overall party composition nationwide, but we could very well see if this system was implemented for the 2020 election. The Democrats are running up the same type of 2018 numbers. Donald Trump's approval rating is even lower than where it was in November 2018. There was an increased representation, not necessarily representation, increased or angered Democratic base. That's the same type of energy that we saw in 2018 that will absolutely vote in full force, whether it's a mail-in ballot or an in-person election. We will likely see historic turnout levels and probably the most votes cast in any presidential election in history. In 2016, Hillary Clinton actually got the most electoral votes most popular vote in terms of raw popular vote than any other Democratic candidate besides Barack Obama. So 2016, though being an election in which a lot of people did not vote, most of the country didn't vote, a lot of people did actually come out and vote, and both sides got increased turnout, but in 2020, it looks like the increased turnout will benefit the Democratic Party. But in this type of scenario, they still win regardless. They flip, essentially, the states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Maine 2nd District, Iowa, and Arizona. The Democratic Party loses Wisconsin. So I mean, yes, they're losing a Rust Belt state, but they make up for it in Arizona. But this isn't necessarily a winner-take-all system. I think this is a very interesting scenario, and I don't think that this would ever be implemented in the nationwide electoral map. But I think it's nice to take a little bit of a break from polling data analyzation or a Senate election discussion. I'm actually really annoyed because I was going to make an Alaska Senate election video soon because, number one, it was a member-decided video, and I really want to do one, but they didn't release a poll for it. They did a House poll, but didn't include an extra question to ask about the Senate, and that's just so annoying. It was really annoying to see that they released a House poll, but not a Senate poll. But the House election actually looks pretty close, within a point for the incumbent Republican there. So, again, a lot of things are starting to shape up to be a lot closer than what we thought in the beginning. Other than that, I mean, go ahead and check out the community tab so you can go ahead and vote on which theme you want me to use, which colors you want me to use. I will be releasing an election night, just presidential election night sometime soon. So you guys can go ahead and see that. It is the subscriber decided one, so I still need to get all the results counted in. I mean, we're up to around 2,000 votes now, and that's also in the community tab. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. I think we're very, very close to 45,000 subscribers. I am so thankful for every single one of you guys for subscribing and sharing my videos and commenting. I love reading all of your comments. I respond to a lot of them. And if you have really any suggestion, I really would love to hear it. I mean, any type of content is amazing, and I really like seeing and engaging with a lot of you guys. So again, thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all later today.